I know it exists. But I had married a Chinese guy, and for some reason, his parents had no problems with me. And my parents just adored him. And I'm going, so it is possible. So instead of writing another story about problems between families with differences, Shakespeare wrote it in Romeo and Juliet, and then guest was coming to dinner. It's about black and white family and all kinds of, there's a mountain of films about people of different family backgrounds having a problem. So am I going to add one more and I'm going to make a better one than the rest? I don't think so. So I thought, well, since my parents and his parents had no problems, it might be a story worth telling. Because then all the people who think that it's so dark in Malaysia can watch this and think, it's not so bad, I'm not having a problem. Quite nice, huh? So I figured I'd tell that story. I was very happy to see Juno when it came out, and it was my favorite film of last year. Because it's about a girl who made a mistake, and her parents going, okay, it's very bad of you to have made a mistake. Let's see where we can go from here. What would you like to do with this baby? I'm not going to slap you around and kick you out of the house because you're my child. So let's see where we can go from here. Hopefully you will have learned a lesson from there. That's very nice. That's a valid way of tackling an issue. Do you know what I mean? The feeling. Besides, I think when I make my films, I'm not intending to solve any social problems. It's just a feeling I want to share with you. Look, I've got this marriage and our parents don't have a problem. I'm going to put a little bit of it there. And how do you feel about it? I feel good. Or are you going to say, well, your film is positive, but the rest of Malaysia is just shit? Where is that going to get any? You know what I mean? So when you have a daughter, are you Chinese or not? When you have a son, and he falls in love with a Malay girl or an Indian girl or whatever, maybe perhaps you might consider not giving her a lot of time. Because it's not so bad. I think that, the old Christian saying of he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. He who lives by hatred dies by hatred. He who lives by kindness might die by kindness. Give it a chance. Does that make sense?
I was actually quite confused about Cindy's feelings towards the sister. Initially, that the sisters were saying that it was like him because not there, but towards the end, I suppose Cindy actually left her money for the sisters. What was her story?
I don't know about anybody here, but I've come across in my life, and what a long life I've had, I'm 50 years old, where you think you think someone is really mean, but in the end you find out actually the girl was trying to fuck you. You know what, I've come across at certain school, teachers who are absolute bastards. And then in the end, I see that when I get an A, and I tell them, I got an A despite your prediction, and they go, that's really nice, and they go all teary-eyed, and I'm going, how much? She cares, do you know what I mean? So I've met people like that, who seem so mean, but actually have a good heart. Of course, sometimes, very often in cinema, I have a problem, where a bad person is just bad from the word go, and till the end, the fella is funny, died. And the good fella is good, so I couldn't stand the film Untouchables. Because they want to cabut, ma. And the nearest country to cabut to is Singapore. He's a Malaysian cabut. And vice versa.
Yeah. How about yourself? Any plans to film in Singapore or even to move over here?
But the government has offered me a PR. If things politically at home is a little bit strange right now. I want Dr. Mahdi to get back to our Singapore or something. Yeah. Here I saw, I did work for Vivian Balakrishnan, and I saw him go on stage and say, Singapore must start thinking of all races the same now. Very subtly hinting that it wasn't always the case, which is very nice, an admission. I wish some of our ministers at home would admit such travesties. And then he said, for the sake of how the world sees us and for the sake of how we see ourselves, we gotta. And I Yeah, think about Singapore, if they have a problem, they address it as soon as possible. Go on. In Malaysia, we cuma ada problem, alah kita sampai.
Ending of your story, it just leaves the viewers hanging on, hoping that there will be a sequel, and you just said no.
I'm sick of those girls, they're so annoying. Not the actresses. The characters are annoying.
But why leave it just like that, and then that's it?
Because the closure was him going back to his mom. Muallaf means change of heart, and I think he had a change of heart with his mom. That's infinitely more important than any girl he may fancy in his life. I think.
But he was feeding back to her.
Sorry?
He was feeding his back.
Yes. Yeah, I think that by then, by that time in the story, I felt he deserved something. Because it's a leap for him to be able to do this. The crux of the story is not the religion, it's not anything else. It's her saying, Brian, you go back to your mom, be nice to her. I wish I could get into a car, go somewhere and meet my mom, and I can't. You do it for me. And I think many people who have lost a parent feel that. And by then I thought he deserved love. He had cleansed himself of this hatred and found that the mom was crying. And he was like the boy again, saying, don't worry, Mom, I will have care. I'm going to get back. But then I want him. Also, when I saw the house, this is huge, solid thing. And his car is an old rickety car, which was the same car his father drove. So I like the idea that a woman was this big, solid thing waiting, and a man was just a rickety old guy wanting to get in. But to the house. But then I think he deserved, and I've seen it happen. People who have got so much hatred, and then they fall in love, and then suddenly they melt, and then they forgive their father who hurt them, and they hadn't spoken to for many years. For some reason, I have many Chinese male friends who have difficulty talking to their dad face to face. It's a culture thing, whatever. But sometimes when they fall in love, they really fall in love, they seem to soften. And by then you deserve a girl, even though she's not so pretty, but I think you deserve
There was one scene where the stepmother was facing the river,
I think the father was out gallivanting with women in a karaoke joint. And that's why I kept it. I wasn't sure of keeping that scene in, but I did because it's not enough. She sucked it back in and I thought,
Sorry, why is this movie mainly in English unlike your other movies?
because Festival Film Malaysia requires that your film is at least 80% in Malay before you qualify. And I wanted to instantly disqualify them. And they can't say American. I'm sorry, I want to enter, but
How about for Malaysia? I mean, the thing is that one of the reasons I come here to watch it because I just thought that there's going to be so many obstacles in terms of the Bagu film and everything, card and all. So I just have to come here and watch it. I'm just wondering that for this movie, I mean, like Singaporeans have the chance to enjoy the movie entirely, but I'm just wondering what is the future in Malaysia. I mean, the thing is, I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to watch it in entirety, but I don't think it will become that, or at least going to be a lot of battle before it will release. So, do you know anything when it's going to be screened?
I don't know.